Welcome to episode 12 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast here on Arena Sports Network and on iTunes and Stitcher, wherever you're getting your podcast from. It's a hump day. Oh, hey, Billy. You ready for hump day? The weekend's over here. Oh, hey, Sally. Oh, hold on. I got my YouTube link going out here. Little technical difficulties. So get that out of the way. As I was saying, I was trying to imitate some people in a cubicle today. Oh, hey, John. Are you ready? Yeah, any plans for the weekend coming up? No, if you did that to me, I'd be like, no, bitch, get out of my way. Anyways, welcome to the show, everybody. This has been a blast for everybody. You guys should know what we do here on the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. If this is your first time listening to the show, this show is not about popping blood vessels over subjective storylines. We like to bring in a lot of comedy on the show. There's some spirited discussions, but we try to help you guys learn something. We're not know-it-alls, but at the same time, we're not gonna say the same shit everybody else does. So, this little I don't care. I'll be up front. I'll say this is not politically correct show. We have nothing to hold back or hide. I'm Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter at WC Josh Lopez. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes and Stitcher. We're almost up to 10,000 listeners since we brought this new podcast up to iTunes. So thank you guys. We're almost there. About 500 listeners away from 10,000. So it's pretty freaking awesome. So make sure to subscribe to iTunes. Let everybody know where this podcast is going down. Let me introduce my good friend and colleague, brother. You see him on the Pipe Bomb with McCool and Company. He was telling me earlier he's kind of like the Colt Cabana of new wrestling podcasts these days. He's the host of Wrestling With. He's on Wrestling Warm Up. Here he is, my good brother Adam Daley. How's it going, man?
What's going on, brother? Yeah, I'm in like so many places. I don't think I'm probably like people are tired of me. I'm sure by at this point, but it's good to be back. Listen, I know the setup's a little bit different this week, guys, but with the heat index in Pittsburgh, and I did say Pittsburgh, not Pittsburgh, like people here say, is like 100 some today, and typically I turn where we normally sit. We turn our air conditioner off for the show. I am not doing that. Like, I love you guys. I appreciate anybody out there that takes time out of their day to listen to us. You have no idea how much that like really, really, really means to a guy like me that always wanted to do this, but not enough to have heat exhaustion on a midsummer day. So, so I love you guys, but had to change the scenery up a little bit today.
Brother Nero.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to delete myself in the middle of the summer.
Don't worry, guys. We'll get all into the Brother Nero Final Deletion stuff throughout the show. We got a lot of cool stuff to talk about today. We'll talk about Raw this past week from Detroit. Interesting segment with Vince, and we got the draft next Tuesday, folks. It's pretty freaking cool. We're 6 days away from basically the new era actually going through fruition. And we'll talk about that today. We'll talk about Battleground, of course, which is next Sunday in Washington, D.C. And we got a lot of other cool stuff to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about TNA last night from Destination X. There's a new Impact Wrestling star on the horizon in TNA that made his debut last night. So we'll get on to that. And usually we start off here, I talk about a bunch of topics outside the ring or the stuff just pops in my head. It's called Shooting the Shit. It's basically the goal of this show. I told this Adam before we started doing this together. It was like, I wanted to make it seem like we're sitting next to each other at Adam's house or in the back porch or whatever, talking about wrestling. That's basically it. Like, yeah, I'm in Chicago. Adam's in Pittsburgh. We're not in the same vicinity with each other, but we try to make it out like we are. So it's just a laid back, casual wrestling conversation. That's basically all it is.
Kind of just like we're walking around the city collecting Pokemon, man. Like talking wrestling as we collect. That's all.
Yeah, Charizard, Snorlax, Mewtwo, all of them.
I rename all of them. I'll admit I don't really know. I know Gengar. That's the only real Pokemon character that I know, and it's been a running joke for years. But I really don't know much. I'm learning Pokemon now. but I'm not really learning anything because I'm renaming all the guys. So it's just, and I'm gonna get myself in trouble with some of the names. If
I'm a '90s kid, and it's kind of crazy to see this Pokemon craze going all over the place. Because like when I was little in elementary school, we used to play Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh and Digimon and all that stuff, and other people give us crap for like, oh, I want to see something playing cards and catching imaginary things. Like, I don't know. It was '90s. That was what kids were allowed to do.
Listen, and when Pokemon was big, I was running an electronics boutique. So anybody out there that remembers the old electronics boutique before it was EB Games, before simpler times,
Mhm.
I used to run one of those, late '90s, and it was weird because like this just craze broke out, and I remember hating Pokemon. I think the only reason why I latched on to Gengar as a character, and I've always wanted to get a Gengar tattoo. This game is gonna solidify me getting a Gengar tattoo just because my wife and my daughter have just been walking around. Like we've gotten more exercise in the past like 3 days, I think, than we've gotten. Now granted, I feel like my leg is gonna fall off, so I don't know if it's really a good thing or a bad thing. But anyway, long story. I was running this video game store that sold these cards, and I just remember how like kids were like fighting. It was warfare over these cards. Like if there was like one pack left, it was like 9, 10, 8, 7-year-old kids fighting. It was the most and I remember being how like I was just so nauseated by it all. And now here I am 18 years later, running around my local streets trying to catch virtual Pokemon. It's what a weird like 18-year-old me is looking at me right now and saying, you know what, for some reason, yeah, this seems about right.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. They even have Vince looking at it. That's Gengar he was looking at in his gym, right?
No, that thing. I believe that thing turns into Gengar. That's the one that I named Stupid Idiot. But because I found him in the bushes. But I I did. It's going to transform into Gengar. I'm sure that was one of Vince's PR people, but it's great that Vince is doing that. I did laugh about that.
Even if it was somebody for the PR that tweeted out in a way like Vince would say that, that's even more funny.
because you read it in Vince's voice.
Yeah.
See, even my dog agrees. If you read it in Vince's voice, it can't be denied. No, it is. That was a great tweet.
Yeah, like I remember for a kid, like not only the cards but also the action figures and stuff. Especially for like Digimon, like they would have like wars and a bunch of that stuff. Like if you talk to my dad, like I was crazy with the Digimon and Pokemon stuff back in the day. So it is what it is.
I have so much Gengar stuff. I have like stickers. I have a giant, like it's a stuffed pillow that's just a giant Gengar that I think my daughter uses now. I have like little mini thing, and it's like, well, I was never into it, but I have all this random Gengar shit that I could probably sell now for, I don't know. It's back in style, so it's probably back. Like cost is back down. It's not rare anymore.
Speaking of pop culture, I got to see Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates last week at the movie theaters. That movie is funny as hell, man. If you guys haven't seen it, go see it, please. It's not high. I was literally crying laughing the entire movie.
Yeah, that's what I want to see. I like that entire cast.
Aubrey Plaza, she's phenomenal.
She was really good in oh my god, I can't believe the movie's slipping my mind right now. Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yes,
she was
also on Dirty Grandpa. I saw it.
I didn't see Dirty Grandpa.
Yeah, that one was pretty funny too. I for a guy that made his name early with freaking High School Musical crap, Zac Efron's actually gotten pretty good at the comedy movies recently. So I'll give him credit for that.
You know what? He's one I will admit. I hate that I like this dude's movies, and I like all of his movies. And it started with 17 again, and it was like, and I even remember telling Sam, like, oh, I'm going to end up liking this dude, and it sucks. It sucks, and I know that I'm going to end up having a man crush on this dude, and the dude makes me laugh, so it's whatever.
Brother Nero, is there anything out TV wise that's been catching your eye, or any like movies you've been watching recently that you would recommend to the peeps?
Yeah, and you know what? One show that I make sure that we watch, and it always comes on Monday nights. This probably explains why, and this will explain to anybody out there why I'm such a big fan of the Final Deletion. If you're not watching Angie Tribeca, you need to, and you need to start, and you need to catch up from season one. Please do yourself a favor. There's so many cameos. The cast, the regular cast they have on there is great. Um, I don't know, but this is really like a Nikki Glazer show on Comedy Central. But listen, I just for me it's like all Comedy Central, unless it's something else here and there will catch my eye. I don't know. I don't watch as much TV.
I,
We still don't even have. I know we made the joke, and if anybody remembers from Extreme Rules, our TV stand was broken. Our TV just finally like fell off the stand. We still haven't even bought a TV. We plug everything through. We just watch TV through our computer now. That's how like simple people we are. I don't know. TV's not a big part of my life.
not a necessity.
Nah.
And there's something wrestling related to that. I'll bring it up later on. One other pop culture thing I wanted to bring up, like he brought up Angie Tribeca. Rashida Jones was one of my childhood crushes. So it's cool to see that she's still kicking ass and stuff.
And it's crazy if you look back at the skits she did on Chappelle's show. You know, like
Yes.
I knew who she was back then just because you kind of you could do research. You found out it was Quincy Jones's daughter, and and so you remember and you kind of follow her work. But for a lot of people that don't know, but that are fans of Chappelle's show, go back and check out some skits. You'd be surprised where she pops up.
Yeah, one last thing before we go back. We promise, folks, we'll get into wrestling. Hey, this is the time me and Adam get to catch up with each other. I have a lot of stuff I'm busy with. Adam's busy, so there's not a lot of times we get to hang out with each other.
Well, no, and listen, and no offense to anybody out there, but if you guys really only want to hear us talk about wrestling for 2 hours, then I think that maybe you guys need something else in your lives. I mean, it's nice hearing a little bit of a blend of some funny little topics first.
Mm-hmm. And you had
everybody unfollows me, like right there. Everybody unfollows me, like the 5 people that follow me.
Well, I mean, after last week when you ripped the Westminster Dog Show and ripped American away, losing your followers is not it's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
No, but if you guys seen last week's show, that rant towards the dog show was gold. I will say that. That was hilarious.
You drive me nuts.
The 30 for 30 OJ thing. I finally caught up with all 5 parts. It's some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen in my life. I watched the full FX series as well with Cuba Gooding Jr. And for those that know me, like people assume that I'm just a wrestling guy, but there's a lot more to me than just wrestling. I with Adam, TV's not a necessity for me. I don't watch a lot of television unless it's like sports or wrestling wise. But like the OJ FX thing was like the first like TV show series I like really sat down and watched in depth for a while. Like I remember as a kid, I was into like The Sopranos. I watched all of those all the time. There's a bunch of other shit. And yeah, the OJ stuff was crazy, man. Especially how they went in depth about the armed robbery thing in Vegas. It really opens you guys. If you still, even after 20 years, still questioning whether the guy did or not, I think you will finally get your answer by watching that 30 for 30.
Listen, or better yet, read his book, because if you read his book and then try to tell me that he didn't do it, and I'll admit, guys, I was one for the longest time that said no. You know what? It was his son. He was probably covering for his son. I was one of those people just because whatever. And then I read his book, and then like as time goes on, I was like, all right, wait a minute, maybe it's not. And then I read his book and went, oh yeah, OJ did that shit. And from what it sounds like Kato saw everything go down too, and Kato knows a little bit more. But that's another thing. It's a shame that it was such a volatile time in society, much like it is right now. And guys, that's why we need to kind of come together and just unite as one. And I know that people are tired of hearing that, but I'd rather say that than tell people to go fuck themselves, quite frankly. And I know it's a little bit early for me to drop an F-bomb, but listen, that OJ thing was very it nauseated me in a lot of different ways. Because, dude, I watched the Bronco chase live. I mean, I had an all-star game for baseball, and then I went home and just sat there in front of a television and watched the OJ chase all day. And
Wow.
just thinking, like, what's going to go down? Is that, is he going to kill himself? Is a bomb going to go off? Is this going to happen? Like, what's and remember thinking, and in hindsight, I should have realized this is where, as a society, we were really starting to go downhill. I remember thinking, oh, he's just pulling into his house. That's it. And they're going to arrest him. I just wasted like 6 hours, like disappointed that like nothing happened. Like a little like 14, 15 like year old kid, like, so, or maybe I'm just a sick and twisted dude. But yeah, I don't know. I remember that, like, I'll never just, and again, when the verdict came out, like, listen, I went to a predominantly, like, white school, like in suburban, Western Pennsylvania. And like they showed the verdict live and on, in every classroom, and like a bunch of white kids are running around, privileged white kids screaming, yeah, Jay's free. And I'm thinking, what are you celebrating for? This dude's like, and even it's I'm like, you got accused for double murder and you're celebrating this. It was a weird thing to see, like, in living color, like live, like in high school, like watching kids run around like during a verdict. It was, dude. It was really and people like celebrating this fact. Like, I don't know, like we had nothing in common with OJ, so I didn't see why it was like people were like, it was like the Steelers won the Super Bowl in Pittsburgh. That's the easiest way I could put it. And I'm the only one sitting there going, why are all you people crazy? That's all.
I was like a month old when that car chase was going on, so sorry to make everybody feel old.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Folks, by the way, if you guys have any questions for us or comments or soliloquies, you can put it in our chat room here on YouTube during the YouTube video. Make sure to like this video, share it on Twitter. I'm at Twitter at WC Josh Lopez. Adam's at Twitter at Adam Daley 13. We're going to get into some wrestling right now. Some couple topics before we get into Raw and all that good stuff. Tonight starts the project known as the WWE Cruiserweight Classic. We got Mauro Inaro and Daniel Bryan holding the home in the commentary table. I'll be covering the full Cruiserweight Classic for WrestleZone.com. I can't tell you, brother, after watching that bracketology thing, I can't tell you how excited I am for this project. For somebody like me who gets to do these articles for a living and get to learn about the business, because you got so many different styles of wrestling now, and you got Mauro and Daniel Bryan to even teach you more about Cruiserweight wrestling that you may not even know before. Brother, this thing is going to be freaking dope. I don't know about you, if you're excited for it or not, or what's your thoughts on the Cruiserweight Classic?
No, I am. I'll admit I do have to get caught up on the bracketology. I do want to see that. There's a couple guys in here I really enjoy. I'm glad Ricochet's in here. I really like Zack Sabre. I will admit though, like the rest of the world right now, I've been running around playing Pokemon, and I'm gonna make that joke a couple times because it's. I'm sorry, I know it's an excuse and it's not a good one, but I got to catch up on that. But this is gonna be good because I want to see if this ends up. I hope this catches on, because I think that there's always a market for, I know that the Ricochet and Ospreay match caught a lot of heat because it was different and it wasn't for everybody, but it created buzz. I think Ospreay and Heyman, we could talk about that later, but that was something that I think that was, the proof is in the pudding that Will Ospreay, is a made man. So, I think this is really good. This is really good and it's a good way because not everybody wants that big bruiser style of heavyweight on heavyweight. I think UFC has shown that a lot of times the smaller fights are the fights that more people are interested in, quicker, faster paced. And I understand it's spot wrestling, and I understand that's where a lot of people don't like it because you don't sell as much, and you're not really selling the pain and the move, yada yada yada. It's different style, but it's an exciting style in my opinion. So hell yeah, I'm excited for this. What about you, dude?
Yeah, it's like when you hear people say, "Oh, you're not selling," or this, that. It's just like the old grouchy guy next door from you that's like, "Back in my day, you gotta do this. Back in my day, you got that." Like, shut up. It's like
I used to walk 10 miles in the snow to school. No, you didn't.
Yeah, Billy Jack Haynes and Bruno Sammartino transitioned in 20 different headlock and arm drags. and now we got flips over the top rope.
Yeah.
Like literally, if I had like covered the matches back in the 70s, my match results would be like one paragraph. That's really the low amount of actual wrestling that was going on during the thing. Bro, but seriously though, I think this is really cool. Like I mentioned earlier, you're gonna learn a lot about wrestling that you may not known before, and kudos to Triple H and Canyon Seaman for even getting guys like from Chile and other countries that we don't even know about that's not in the indie circuit or whatever. So I think it's gonna be pretty cool. You got Brian Kendrick and Tajiri as the veterans. I think that for nostalgia purposes, people will be into that for the Cruiserweight Classic. That's fine. Even you have guys like you mentioned Zack Sabre that's going to be there. That's going to be interesting. You got Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. They're going to be in there. Rich Swann, all night. All night long. Yeah, so yeah, they got a lot of good guys in this thing. I think it's gonna be cool for all wrestling fans. And hey, that's all you can want. You want things that are different. You really don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know if this is gonna intertwine with what's gonna happen with Raw and SmackDown after the draft on Tuesday. And you know, hey, if you have more questions and answers, I think you're doing a good thing with your business. So
And you know what? I think it's a really good business decision in the manner of, like you mentioned, them bringing in talent from all over the world. Think about that. That's bringing in network subscriptions now, brother, from, every single country that has a competitor in there. That's a way to tap into that market a little bit more. How many more ads onto the network can we get? Even if it's for, the free month, and then people, half the people forget and get that second month in,
yeah,
there's an extra $10 here, there, or whatever. And that does add up, and when you're going to stockholders and you're going to shareholders and you're saying, listen, look at what the cruiserweights did for, network subscriptions. Boom, went through
yeah.
the roof. Not only are we now talking, the potential of a spinoff show, maybe a segment on, something on a cruiserweight championship in NXT, maybe a cruiserweight championship on one of, the shows. So I think this is a good litmus test to see not only is there drawing power in the United States, but around the world. And I think it's going to move the needle. I really do.
And this also gives credence to what happened in Super 8 tournaments back in the day in the Indies, or the Ring of Honor style, and a lot of like Shikara wrestling as well. That gives credence to what those guys did, and because a lot of people are interested in that type of wrestling today. I remember going to our you mentioned Cole Cabana earlier. I went to see him do an Art of Wrestling podcast live in person, and they were promoting a Shikara show in Chicago, and he had all these guys with masks, and they got different styles. But even like Mauro Ronaldo in the bracketology show, well, the cool thing about this thing is that it's not just flippy guys. You have guys that are great in submission wrestling, like Jack Gallagher. You got MMA guys in there. It's something for everybody, and I think this is gonna be blown off the park. Having a guy like Mauro Ronaldo and Daniel Bryan is the best fit for it, especially for a guy like me that's into wrestling because of the announcing and that type of stuff. So bro, this is awesome. I just can't wait to see what happens, and tonight should be a fun night.
Well, and I think it was brilliant for them to put Moro on this, only because, and this isn't a slight against Cole by any stretch of the imagination. Please don't think that, because like you can't give like constructive criticism or any kind of criticism without people saying, well, he was talking shit about this guy. No, I actually love Michael Cole. I do. I have a lot of respect for Cole, and I think that he gets I say it all the time, I think he gets a bad rep. But I don't. Michael Cole's never really had to call matches like this. Even when the WWE had a cruiserweight championship, it wasn't this style of cruiserweight. So I think that it was Moro has seen this, he's used to this, and he would absolutely be more comfortable in this. I'm not saying Cole couldn't do it, but why try to groom somebody that when you already have a diamond that's already polished? So, and Daniel Bryan added on to that, who's worked around the world, who probably knows a lot of these guys' work. I think this is a brilliant combination, and it's a really good move for the fans too, because there's that drawing power. You hear all the positives about Moro. Everybody wants to hear and see Daniel Bryan. So bring them two in, and it should be a success.
You know, it really, when you see stuff like this, or like what's going on with the brand split, and people could have their arguments or whatever. At the end of the day, it's all subjective. But I really feel like, as a wrestling fan, even growing up during the late '90s and whole ruthless aggression stuff, like, this is fun. Like, I couldn't picture what it'd been like to have this much content with the AWA and all that stuff in the '70s, and I'm just sitting back and having fun. I mean, is it too much? I don't know. I'm in different positions than other people. I wasn't born during the '80s and '90s, and where I'm in different positions of life where I got to focus on other things and all that. But like, as a fan, like, I yeah, it really sucks that we get so boggled down by outdated, old school versus new school debates all the time and all this bullshit. Like, you want the business to thrive, but you don't want you're bitching about it because they're not doing it in your way. You know what I mean? That's what pisses me off.
Well, and you know what? And again, just like we talked about a couple weeks ago, dude, I don't think it's, it maybe when the NFL started running games damn near every day of the week, it was like, okay, maybe I was concerned, because of oversaturation. But at the end of the day, there's so much out there now. Like, when you really think about it, everything's competition. So you're either going to tune in or you're not going to tune in. It's not going to hurt the product. And if someone's, going to give you money to put your product on television or this, that, or the other thing. So no, I don't think that it's over, because again, there's whatever you want. If you're a wrestling fan, there is absolutely something out there for you. Like, I never liked the excuse of, well, WWE just doesn't do it for me anymore, so I just don't watch wrestling. No, just say you just don't want to watch wrestling, because there's a million alternatives that are doing things the way, old school thinking, new school thinking, alternative thinking. I mean, over the top thinking. I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's wrestling out there where you can see like a giant taco wrestle a giant cheeseburger if you want to. Like, I said Dean Ambrose in a banana suit. So, there is, but there's something out there for everybody, and you can watch as little or as much as possible. So in today's, I want it all society. I think it's smart to put as much content out there, the better. Pander to as many fan bases as possible, and this does feel like the 80s again, where we had the territories, where we had, like we always talked about. For me, I could go home and watch 4-star wrestling. I could watch WCW. I could watch WCW, NWA, or whatever it was at the time, in the 80s going into the 90s. I could watch WWF. There were so many different shows that I could, dip my hands on just on regular TV, but before wrestling kind of like faded away. Now with the internet, we don't have to worry about that, and we can get it pretty much anywhere. So I don't know. Again, it's funny how much people want to complain, but there's never, and we say it all the time, there's never been a better time to be a fan of professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Yeah, and it's starting from the ground up. I think I don't think we even reached the surface yet, and that's what excites me.
No, and you know what? Kudos to Triple H for seeing the big picture on this.
Mm-hmm.
And kudos to Triple H and whomever else is involved. I know, we know Triple H gets a lot of the praise for this, but for a lot of the moves that are being made, whoever else is helping out, because we don't know. But whomever's helping with these decisions, really needs applauded, because this is I think that this is the best WWE's been and the most entertaining WWE's been from all aspects in a very, very long time. Because do you remember in the mid 2000s when they tried to do stuff like this, Josh, when it was supposed to be all online, and it was almost like they were trying to run a network but on WWE.com, and even with like little kind of skits here and there and bits, and it just was falling flat. It wasn't working, but like it does work today because they're getting good writers. It's outside the box thinking. They're breaking down fourth walls. It's just, I think it's great for fans. It really is.
And it's not, and yeah, I get it's not the professional wrestling that we saw back in the day, but I think in this style of wrestling, it's not only does it appeal to guys like us, but hell, more than ever, I've seen wrestling more talked about on major platforms and all this stuff. Hell, we can bring up this next topic. Hell, John Cena is hosting the ESPYS tonight.
And you know what I mean? That was actually going to be my point, Josh. Think about this. Yes, I understand that professional wrestling and the way that it's covered is much different now than it was 20 years ago, or or whatever. But look at ESPN. Try to find a highlight on there. And don't worry, I'll wait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's all gossip. It's all we've turned into. Look at all major news outlets. It's all talking heads like we're doing right now. There's no substance to any major news outlet. It's all
Exactly.
basically everybody, like all the video shows that we all do. So it's I don't think it's pro wrestling's problem. I understand where people would get upset with it, that kind of wrestling fell suit, or followed suit. But you when you're entertainment, you have to keep up with the Joneses and or be ahead of the Joneses to make sure you're bringing in money. Otherwise, you're going to end up like Blockbuster Video and you'll be gone.
Yeah, and like for me, like I wouldn't give a flying fig Newton about the ESPYS if John Cena wasn't hosting it. I don't care for ESPN. I mentioned a lot on my sports show that ESPN is just as bad as CNN or MSNBC. Everybody's talking about their ass. Oh, I got my sources here. My source said that. Shut up. You're copying what everybody else says.
Yeah.
You're not fooling anybody, bro. And like I like even for me, like a guy like me, I wasn't. I'll admit I'm not the biggest Cena fan in the world. Like there was times I was indifferent to the character. Do I have a lot of respect for the guy for what he does in the ring? Hell yeah! And not only for that, but showing what true work ethic is what I appreciate about John Cena the most. Like, we could have arguments about the character or whatever. That doesn't matter to me. What this guy embodies about work ethic and dedication for what he does for a living, that's something that you should look up to. Now, do you have to be over the top goody good shoes all the time? Not necessarily, but I think what John Cena does as far as work ethic and dedication should be admired.
Oh, listen, Cena's
Yeah.
a hell of an individual. There's nothing. I mean, I would never. And listen, like, I'm not going to sit here and not say that I don't joke, but like make John Cena jokes and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
for example, I think it's quite offensive that like his little like Twitter avatar is like we are America, and it's like a little dotted line around him. Like, no, John, not all of us are pasty white, bland, crop top,
Yeah.
buzz cut, like jort wearing, high top wearing. No, like as a
No.
tattooed, long haired, like as a guy that typically would look like CM Punk, that everybody says, yeah, I take offense to that. We are America, and I'm sure there's a lot of other ethnicities in this country that would too. But anyway, but of course that's the comedian side of me, guys. Listen, John Cena is a hell of a guy. Before anybody starts to try and like piss on me for that comment, Cena's a hell of a dude, and he has broad shoulders, and he would see the joke behind that too. And that's
Yes.
the thing that people don't get about Cena.
Mhm.
Yeah, does he play this card up a little bit? Unfortunately, yeah. But you know what? Hogan did too, and I'll say this. In being in the two generations, I will gladly take John Cena waving the American flag than Hulk Hogan waving the American flag.
And I think you'll agree with this too. I think you'd rather had John Cena during the '80s than Hulk Hogan, probably.
So, oh my
Yeah.
God, no. In the 80s, I would have been the biggest John Cena. I would have begged for somebody like John Cena to take Hogan in the 80s. God, man. People don't realize.
And the great part about this, like he eats it up with the whole beat up John Cena stuff. I think that's awesome. Beat up John.
Listen, do you think, Josh, and I personally do think that, like, because as much as I make jokes about other people, I make as many jokes about myself that people don't even catch on to. They're very, like, I just slip them in. And because you have to be able to laugh at yourself, man. Life is
Yeah.
way too short. Cena is having fun with life, man. Cena loves these things. Like, he knows, he gets it. Like, he gets it, and it's enjoyable, So it's not like, I love that people like, and I do the beat up John Cena thing a lot on Twitter because it's fun. And I know if for some reason it ever got back to John Cena, he's probably laughing about it, And
Yeah.
so I don't think I'd ever have to worry about him like swallowing, like I'd have to swallow my teeth if I ever ran into John Cena. Ryback maybe, but probably not John
Oh
Cena.
God.
Nah, I already ran into Ryback at WrestleMania 30. He just refused to talk to me because I had a CM Punk shirt on. But he actually just more grunted at me. But yeah, dude, listen, Cena is I think one of them dudes that, listen, he doesn't have to be, and we see the clean cut whatever side, but we all have that other side. It's just a lot of us are very outgoing about it. Some of us like to hide it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Cena can play up the goody two shoes part, but listen, we all dance with the devil sometimes. Some of us just don't hide it, and that's cool though. That's what is great about, again, this country, and being able to do whatever the hell you want to do. But I do like Cena, man. Over the years, I think that once they let John Cena, let me get your opinion on this, dude. Once they let John Cena kind of be himself a little bit more versus like basically saying, okay, John, you have to do this. Don't even pretend to joke around. Do you feel like it's really helped Cena reconnect with all the fans again?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we'll touch on this more in depth with our Raw thoughts, but last Monday could have been a better example of that. Hell, a whole arena chanting John Cena, not even one bit of Cena suck chants. And it was genuine. It wasn't like, oh, we're in a regular WWE city. Hell, Detroit was booing Roman Reigns or whatever. So, hey, I think that's pretty cool. And maybe it's because he's with Enzo Cass. I don't know. But I just think people are respecting what John Cena is bringing to the table and the work ethic he has for the business. And especially with what he did with the U.S. Open Challenge last year. If you cannot respect the man after what he did for that division, I don't know what to tell you.
And and I do think the fact that he is able to show that other side of him that he wasn't, and I don't know if he was or wasn't allowed to, or it was his decision, but there was again, whether we like it or not, it like Josh and we always talk about it. There's a character that there's characters. It's Shakespeare, and there's just cogs in a wheel that they replace in. And it was a different the mid 2000s into the late 2000s where Cena was really being shoved down our throats, guys. That's when really the Cena hate started. It really was before kayfabe was totally dead. Like kayfabe was dead, but the industry didn't admit that it was dead yet. So it was just I think a waiting game before Cena could really show.
Brother,
and yes, sir.
Brother, you just triggered the keyword right there. And any good broadcasters know a specific word to transition to a different topic.
Then do it, my man.
Kayfabe.
There we go.
If I hear one more person tell me that Brock Lesnar should lose another match, you're the biggest hypocrite of all time.
Should or shouldn't?
Shouldn't.
Shouldn't. Okay.
Yeah. Because in this world of wrestling and all this stuff about it's entertainment at the end of the day. This is not a sport. And I'm really sick and tired of wrestling fans who are disgruntled because we're not in the attitude era anymore, thinking that we have to put the business, we have to put UFC over what everything WWE does. I'm done with it. I'm sick of it. We need to go back to TV 14 because UFC's doing it, and look how great they're doing. Brock Lesnar needs to be the champion because he whooped a jobber on Saturday night in a boring ass fight. Oh, yay! Yippee! Hell, I enjoyed Brock Lesnar's match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania more than that fight the other night. Oh, should I get heat for that? Oh, sorry, MMA fans. Brock Lesnar, look, I'm a fan of what the guy does in the ring, and that's the worst part about this. But why? Why do all these big ass wannabe wrestling fans had to get on their knees and blow this guy all the time? I don't get it. The guy can't ever lose a match because it's not believable. Stop already, please. And you can tell me that he needs another championship. I'll go in depth more, but go ahead, Adam.
Well, what kills me is all the people that are saying that he should never lose a match. I promise you, 3 matches later, because that's probably like a year and a half in Brock Lesnar time, people are gonna be begging for him to lose a match. And my thing is, like, we also forget that it's entertainment, guys. It's not it's sports entertainment. I mean, Brock Lesnar could lose because of interference. Brock Lesnar could lose because of disqualification. Brock Lesnar could lose in a no disqualification match because somebody fucking parked a car on him. Brock Lesnar could lose in a million different ways. Brock Lesnar, and besides, can we make, if we really want to get into the reality, if we want to keep kayfabe alive, A squared circle is much different than the octagon, because in a squared circle, certain moves are allowed that are not allowed in the UFC. The UFC would not allow certain moves that the WWE. Obviously, you didn't see an F5 in UFC. Obviously, you wouldn't see somebody in the, you wouldn't see Brock just trying to lay on somebody in WWE. So if you want to really keep quote unquote kayfabe alive, with them being two different styles, two different rings, two different sports altogether, because somebody is good at baseball doesn't automatically make him the best at softball.
Correct. And you know the worst part about this, bro? Like, I don't get why PC more important to them than what with wrestling. Like, what's more important to wrestling fans right now? What's great about the UFC because Brock Lesnar and CM Punk are there? Look, I love Punk, and I'm not mad that he's in UFC. He's doing what he wants to do. That's awesome. But okay, so we're gonna make our business decisions, but off of what UFC does. I just think that's stupid. And I said this on Saturday night. What's more important to you? Your future, or keep going to the well of guys who are either on their way or already out of the company and are known more for stuff outside of your company? Like, I'm really done with going back to the well. Maybe it's me, but I'd rather focus on the future than going back to see, who's a big draw on something that has nothing to do with our own company.
And listen, and I'm not saying that we should go out there and like Lesnar should lose like every match and stuff like that, guys. But I'm saying like never losing another match is a reach. And I think it would become a situation where, all right, okay, I'm gonna shoot from the hip, and this is just personal opinion as a wrestling fan. I'm not an expert. I'm not an analyst. I don't get paid for this. Although one day I will make $1 American dollar off this, just to prove one. There's one person. There's one person I want to prove wrong, and I don't care if it's $1. I will make money off this. But I just think that towards the end, and especially now, the Undertaker's streak has done more harm to his legacy than it has helped him. And hear me out on this one. We are still so concerned about the Undertaker can't lose at WrestleMania. It has to be redemption for the streak. He never should have lost about Brock, or he never should have lost to Brock Lesnar, blah, blah, blah. We're constantly talking about the streak in a negative light. Okay. Before the streak got snapped, do you know what we were all saying? The streak needs to be broken. The streak needs to be broken. The streak needs to be broken. The point being, we got very tired of the Undertaker being overly predictable. And then once he lost, and then it was like, okay, we kind of don't, now that the streak's over, just the sentiment you heard. And I'm not saying this is fair or unfair, because I have a hell of a lot of respect for the Undertaker. This isn't necessarily my opinion, but what you were hearing from a lot of fans was, okay, now we think Undertaker should retire because there's nothing else to tell with Undertaker. So with Brock Lesnar, if you want him to go on this massive winning streak, the next time he loses would have to be his last match then, because it would, if you want to keep this facade of kayfabe alive, but where because he's in UFC now, he would never lose. I mean, I don't know. I just think that we have to watch what we ask for sometimes, because we ask for certain things before really thinking it through. Listen, I think that the best thing that could have happened for The Undertaker would have been the streak being snapped to Randy Orton back at WrestleMania, 21? Was that?
Yeah.
Is that 21?
Yeah, Los Angeles.
That, in my opinion, is when a streak probably should have been snapped, because then all of the Undertaker's matches past that, with the exception of the Mark Henry match, would have been known as WrestleMania classics, not just based around the streak. When you look at his matches with Shawn Michaels, his matches with Triple H, his match with Punk, we're talking classics that really had nothing to do. I mean, yeah, I know it's because of the streak, but really take the streak element out of it, and they're 5-star matches. You could, and I just think that the streak is hampering the Undertaker's legacy. I think just putting, then just, I guess what I'm getting at, now we're painting Brock Lesnar under the same paintbrush, and I think it would do more harm than good to his pro wrestling quote unquote legacy.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, this is not a sport.
Right, yeah. I guess, yeah. It's in the most simplistic form. It's entertainment. It's not a sport. Yeah, I guess I kind of just ran it for no reason. Yeah. We're telling it's a comic book, guys.
Yes.
Like, come on.
And like I'm an Undertaker guy. I know some people are indifferent towards him. Undertaker was one of my favorites growing up as a kid. So anytime I could see him, it's cool or whatever. But
Josh,
I,
let me ask you a question though. Do you think that as time went on, as a fan, did you kind of want the streak to end so that he could go back to just having actual matches, or did you like the fact that it kept going on?
I thought that Undertaker's streak should have came to an end when he took on Edge at WrestleMania 24. I thought it should have ended there. You know, you had a good opportunity to take Edge to that next level. It's wrestling main event. Even that way, I get it. It was a good guy for the bad guy thing, but still, I felt that if you wanted the perfect opportunity for the streak to come to an end, I thought it would have been with Edge.
Yeah. And you know, there's Orton. I would have loved to have seen Orton. Orton, Edge, Punk, or the three for me.
Yeah,
And
even
yeah,
Punk
and you know,
too. Yeah,
and I wouldn't have minded. I wouldn't have minded Michaels, and then they could have had a best of three. You know, three
true.
manias like that wouldn't have been bad either. I mean, and I think that's the problem, Josh, is that as much as we talk up the streak, we all say, "Man, I wish it would have been broke here. I wish it would have been broke here. I wish it would have been broke here." We all were kind of begging for it to be broken sooner. It's just, but it's funny to me because how we're intertwining these two characters because listen, we're sitting here now saying that we want Brock Lesnar to be the new Undertaker in a way, yet we were pissed that Brock Lesnar broke the Undertaker streak, right?
Yeah.
So we are all hypocrites, aren't we?
Mm.
Drink it in, man.
Drink it in, and at the end of the day, you can't talk out of your ass.
No, I just think it's an interesting point that a lot of the people that are very upset that it was Brock Lesnar that stopped the streak now want Brock Lesnar to go on like this streak. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's irony. Irony.
It's because it's the UFC. WWE has to do everything by the UFC. I think that's stupid. Anyways, let's move on to Raw really quick. Raw last week was in Detroit, Michigan. I'll give my thoughts in a little bit, but Adam, I want to hear from you first. Brother, what was your thoughts on the show this past Monday?
Okay, there's some segments I really, really enjoyed. I like the Raw report or the Rollins report. Obviously, I was gonna like the Rollins report. I think that's we'll get into that. I thought it was all right. Yeah, the one thing that I noticed that I don't really think, I don't want to say that it was one of the best shows or anything like that, like we always say, but I do think that there was some really cool points of it. I didn't get to see it till yesterday. I typically try to watch it twice. We always watch it first, see what it's about, then we watch it with our daughter. Kind of, it's one of them parenting things, guys. You'll get used to it, but look forward to that in the future. So. But we didn't get a chance to because something happened with the DVR where it wasn't on our DVR till the next day. Long story short, I think I was thinking about it, and I just think 5 weeks in between Extreme Rules and Money in the Bank and Battleground is too long. But at the same time, one of those is a throwaway because it's the 4th of July show. I just wish that maybe I would have still been okay with this been a week sooner. Even though it would have been on 7/17 and everybody would have been saying CM Punk must be coming back. But I would almost rather had that a week sooner so that we would have had a 5-week build to SummerSlam versus this because I think Battleground's going to be great, but this isn't the pay-per-view to have a 5-week build. I guess is the easiest way. But I still dug Raw. I don't want to. There's some interesting things that we're going to talk about, especially the little Wyatt family compound thing. I want to touch on. I want to touch on the Rollins report. And we'll get to some other things too. So as far on my end of things, but what about you?
I agree with you with the 5-week thing. I want to ask you this though. Did you think a network special like Roadblock or the Beast in the East would have worked in this scenario while we were on this journey to Battleground?
You know what? Maybe because it would have felt like a Saturday night's main event.
Like you could have done that Hawaii network show that everybody was talking about.
I was really hoping that Hawaii event was going to be streamed. I really was. I was hoping it was going to be on the network, but I don't know, man. But then we would have been telling mini programs leading into a B pay-per-view with it. But
Yeah,
they did it last year. I don't know. I'm torn. I think it did
yeah.
help last year, but I think that what might have hurt this a little bit more too is Roman Reigns' suspension. I think that they're doing the best that they can to work around it, but it's tough to say what would be going on right now if he was around.
And that's the crux we deal with now in today's society, like where some people want longer stories and weeks to build towards pay-per-views. And then you have like a stretch, like I always say, like July is always that period where you're like, okay, here we go. It's July. We're in the middle of the year. We'll see what happens next. Like you're ready to go into August, and you're preparing for the fall and all that stuff. Like um, July is just one of those odd months that we deal with. Like now, we had Money in the Bank 2011 in July, and it was awesome, obviously. So, in wrestling senses, like you always feel like there's that lull period between Money in the Bank to SummerSlam, and it always lands in July. But I think it's because people are so eager to see what comes with the draft. Like people didn't appreciate the time to take the journey towards the draft. They're like, oh, there's the draft coming. Oh, it should be next week. Oh, the draft's coming. Oh, it should have been after Money in the Bank. I just felt like people are trying to rush into the draft instead of going on the journey towards that.
And you know what? And Battleground was actually a pretty good pay-per-view last year too. That's
That
the
was all
one that,
right.
yeah. I mean, it was a nice little event. So I just that's why I don't. It's tough to say. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to be too harsh on them because how much did they have to rewrite due to the suspension? How
Yeah.
much did they rewrite? And I know that's only one segment, guys, but when it's your main focal point, when it's dealing with the World Heavyweight Championship, and he's arguably, I'm saying arguably, guys, but arguably the biggest player in the company, sans John Cena. And we always that listen, guys. So please understand when we say biggest player in the company, I understand that there's a new grouping that we're looking at as like Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, like they're the guys, but it's still really John and Kevin Owens in there, but it's still really John Cena. And
Yeah.
Cena's on his own little level, guys. So when I say the guy or the man or this, understand that first that it's always John Cena, and I know that's going to make a lot of people nauseated, but it's the truth. It's the truth,
Yeah.
though, man. I mean, he's earned it. He's earned it. We got to give it to him. But
Well, good thing
um,
from this week's show that we didn't have to deal with nauseating patriotism on this show, so
yeah,
I'll
right.
give credit for that. Uh, let's start off from the beginning, though. Our guy, Darren Young, won the Battle Royal, is going to take on The Miz at Battleground, which I think is pretty freaking cool. And Bob Backlund and Darren Young are going to be on Miz TV tomorrow night on SmackDown, which I can't wait to see, man. That's going to be freaking hilarious. See Maurice go back and forth with Bob Backlund. I just think that's TV gold. Brother, what's your thoughts on this? Yeah, it's not the U.S. title, but Darren Young is actually going for the IC title. So he can make your favorite title great again.
I think that they got him backward. The mid card titles backwards. Right, it looks like they're about to give Ryder a really nice push. New music, new whatever. I would have put Ryder back in the Intercontinental mix just because of the pop he got at WrestleMania when he did win the Intercontinental Championship, and
Mm-hmm.
then flip flop and put Darren Young going for the United States Championship. And I say this, and I know that I hope people understand what I mean when I say this, but I think that it would have been a very smart business move when it comes to a corporate model to have the United States Championship on a gay black male. And I'm not saying that that's not anything because people out there are going to say, well, what do you mean? No, think about it. I'm saying that it's dirty corporate imagery usually dictates, okay, if we put the United States Championship on a quote unquote double minority, it'll make us look really, really good as WWE corporate people. And that's something that they typically go with. But it's what's weird is I think that because of the gimmick they're using, it would have made more sense because they're kind of ripping off the Trump stuff and it's tying in with the election and stuff like that. So in a way, I'm kind of disappointed because I think it would have benefited not only us as fans, but them on a corporate level, and maybe even Darren Young as far as crossover level. If he would have been chasing the United States Championship versus but you know what, Miz is a bigger name than Rusev. So in a way, this is much better for Darren Young, and I love Darren Young. So I hope nobody takes like under. I hope
No,
people
I understand.
understood what I was saying by that, and not because most people aren't gonna hear. They're gonna listen to what I said, but they're not gonna hear it. You know what I mean, Josh? And
To your point with that, I understand where you're coming from, bro. I totally do. I wonder though if this is a thing where they do a flip flop with the draft though. So yeah, you have Rusev and Ryder for Battleground and Darren Young and Miz for Battleground. But let's say those guys are drafted to different shows, and then you have the role reversal with those guys at SummerSlam.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it could happen. It could happen, but you know what? The way that crop pop was, I don't know, man. Now it's like you kind of got to run with DY going for the Intercontinental
Yes.
Championship, you know. And again, it sucks because I just felt like the U.S. Championship would have done so, but and again, the IC Championship is my favorite title, so I love that they're doing this with it still too. So trust me, there's no sour grapes. It's just kind of like, oh, missed opportunity.
um, I think another thing was cemented there. I think Del Rio had a good performance in the Battle Royal too
Yeah.
this past Monday. Del Rio needs to find something soon. I wonder. I mentioned this on the Pipe Bomb last week. I was fortunate to be on the Pipe Bomb with Nicole Company last week. It was a lot of fun, and I mentioned that Del Rio could be like the wild card guy in the draft this year. Like you don't know what impact he's going to have on that new show. Hell, with SmackDown now being run by Shane, like is there going to be a new tournament to crown a new champion? What's this new change? Who's going to be the marquee guys on those shows? Del Rio's a guy I would really put my eyes on towards the fall and see if he could get his stock back up.
And I think that that's a good point about Del Rio because two things. One, I still think that he looks better than he ever has. I really do. And I mean, I know I know Matt's gonna kill me because he hates ADR, but I've always kind of dug Del Rio, but this is another one of them things where timing is everything. And right now, a lot of people are talking about Del Rio because of the Paige situation, because he's dating Paige, and it doesn't seem like it's like and not even a secret or whatever anymore,
Yeah.
because of some Twitter things recently. So, listen, people are either gonna love or hate Del Rio. There's gonna be some residual reactions because of that. I'm sure of the room, find out because he might be able to get immense heel heat off it if he can run with him that way. I mean, I think I agree, dude. I think Del Rio is definitely a player because he's been established. I think Del Rio is a guy that a lot of people in the locker room probably kind of do look. I don't want to say look up to, but respect because he's been all over the world. I mean, he was an amateur wrestler. I mean, he does have that amateur, Greco-Roman background. So, and he's an underrated guy. He really is. I feel he's underrated in WWE terms.
Other things that stood out to me, just little things that may have gone over people's head. I do think that you could hold off Sasha and Charlotte as the singles match for SummerSlam. I don't think it's going to happen at Battleground. I don't look at spoilers, so I don't know what's going to go on SmackDown tomorrow. Only thing I knew about Darren Young because they advertised it on Raw this past Monday that Darren Young and Bob Backlund are going to be on Miz TV. But I don't know where they're going to go here. Like maybe somebody from NXT is drafted or something, and you could do something like they did with Becky and Natty against Charlotte and Dana, like they did at Money in the Bank last month. But I don't know. I just think that I'm happy that they're going this route with Sasha and Charlotte. They're making her look strong. Everybody's getting what they want with Sasha, but I just think for me, I would hold off that singles match till SummerSlam.
The only problem would be then that Charlotte would have gone 2 months without defending her championship, though, because she didn't defend it at the last pay-per-view. And then you would hear a lot of people start to say that the women's revolution, what's the change? Because the biggest complaint with Nikki Bella or AJ Lee was that they never defended their championship as much. It was once every 2 or 3 month kind of deal. And then, so now we're looking at Charlotte not defending her title since when? The end of April now, right? Or May 1st?
End of June. No, end of May, actually, yeah.
May, yeah, or yeah, end of May.
Yeah.
So, So she'd be going like 2 pay-per-views without. I just think that she kind of has to defend it, but she can cheat. She can, this is where I could see that maybe Sasha finally gets that win at SummerSlam. Everyone said it was the WrestleMania moment that she quote unquote deserved. Maybe it'll just be the SummerSlam moment, so that finally next year, even though we just had a triple threat, maybe next year at WrestleMania we'll get the fatal 4-way with the 4 horsewomen.
Let me ask you this. So I think maybe like if you look at like these kickoff shows now, I don't know if that's gonna be a necessity anymore heading towards the draft now since the rosters are being split. Who knows? Maybe like you have a irrelevant feud on Raw or SmackDown that maybe that's just there for that purpose now. But I don't know like what kickoff match would have been for this month. Like what Cruz and Corbin. I know I saw some NXT fans on Twitter the other night saying that they thought, Corbin and Cruz are going to get in a feud now. So I don't know.
You know what I mean? I think that, I think you'll still probably have you'll have one pre-show match. I think.
Yeah.
I think they'll still have one pre-show match just because you want it to feel like. I mean, again, they keep saying separate but equal, but you still want to make it feel like nothing has changed.
Yes.
And I don't want to say that because you want to feel like it's certain aspects of the business have changed for the better, but you don't want to take things away. You don't want to make it seem lesser than it was before. So you don't want to take matches off the card. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe you trim it from 2 pre-show matches to 1, which I think they should do anyway. But yeah, I think the pre-show match sticks.
All right. Let me ask you this though. I got an interesting one for you. Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton. That's confirmed for SummerSlam. I saw the SummerSlam promo. I thought it was pretty cool. Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton is a dream match for me, especially because I grew up watching those guys right off the gate when they started wrestling each other. So I'm really down for this. If you guys haven't seen Randy Orton's interview on Booker T's podcast, Heated Conversations, go check that out. I think it's really cool. I really think when Randy Orton's motivated and under pressure, I think that's the best Randy Orton we see all the time. And I think that's why I'm interested in this Brock Lesnar Randy Orton match. They announced that Randy Orton's going to be on the highlight reel with Chris Jericho at Battleground. I'm fine with that. I think it's cool. I think Jericho being on there is going to be great. Jericho's great in general. I don't need to put him over. We know how great he is. Stupid idiot. By the way, Jericho's segment with Kevin Owens last week on SmackDown was hilarious. If you guys haven't seen that, go check that out. But are you fine with the Orton and Jericho mixing it up at Battleground?
As far as they're just doing a highlight reel?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I think, do you keep Orton off TV till then?
Yeah. Yes, I would keep him off. So I'll keep him off next week's television, okay? You can find out where he's drafted, but at the same time, you have him appear on Battleground, and then he'll be on TV after Battleground. That's how I would do it. Because, I know there was advertisements about Brock being on the draft show. For me, it'd be better to have Paul Heyman on there and talk about the match there before Brock and Orton are in the same ring at the same time. Because it's just too many different directions pulled in one thing. You got Battleground, you got the draft, and then you got SummerSlam all into 1 week. Yeah, I think you need to space that out.
I see what you're saying there. I definitely see your point on that one. And they're that's what this Lesnar UFC fight really did kind of it did throw the curviest of curveballs into this scenario. This was like an old EFIS pitch. But but it I think that as long as they keep it simple for right now, it'll be okay. Because it's they don't want to make it so keeping Orton off. Yeah, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing them on the draft show. I guess it's just you're right though. It's because what do we talk about? Do we talk about the draft? Do we talk about Raw? Do we talk about the live SmackDown? Do we talk about SummerSlam? Do we talk about Brock? Do we talk about the Final Deletion? Do we talk about the Cruiserweight Classic? I don't know. I feel like my brain's gonna just start going delete. That's brain cells are
It's
just
over.
like evaporating right now. Yeah, no, I'm okay with Orton because it's a safe bet. They didn't know what was going to happen with Brock at UFC, and I don't mean that in any way. But listen, if he loses, what do you do? If he wins, what do you do? And Orton's a safe bet because he wasn't on TV. You don't really have to build that much of a storyline. Now you know that you. I just I don't know. I mean I'm okay with it. I'm not really overly thrilled with it, but I'm okay with it because I think it's the safest bet and it doesn't interfere with any storylines that are going on right now. And I think
and,
that
and,
was
and a
what's
younger
most
guy,
important.
and a younger guy on the roster is not made to look like a jabroni.
Exactly. And I mean, this is going to be, I think, and so that way, if a UFC fan now wants to tune in and say, okay, well, what does Brock do in WWE? You're putting him against somebody that is arguably the smoothest guy that WWE has in ring.
Yes.
Somebody that would be able to work with Brock, protect him, and be smart. Their psychology would be all right. They said Orton's a perfectionist. I mean, he really is. If you listen to Rollins on Talk is Jericho, that's the one thing he said is that Orton is absolutely like a perfectionist. Like he likes to go everything So I think it's a good. It's safe not only for the business, it's safe for storylines, but it is safe for it's safe for Brock Lesnar too.
Yeah. And
Not that I think that Brock Lesnar, please guys, I don't think that's no. That I don't want to make it seem like safe for Brock Lesnar, but you got accidents can happen to
yes.
anybody,
Mhm.
so please don't take that the wrong way either.
Yes. um, I gotta say this, and I haven't had a chance to talk about this. You remember the segment they had where after it was the day of the Rumble, after the Rumble, he had Lesnar, Batista, and Orton in the same ring. I remember it was a promo. Paul Heyman's like, Brock Lesnar wants his opportunity at the world title now. This is before the Undertaker match was even announced. If it was me back in the day and I knew Brock was going to fight the Undertaker, I would have done Brock versus Orton at the Chamber pay-per-view that next month for the title, and Orton would have got a victory over Lesnar, and then you got because Taker would come out. I thought you could have had Brock and Taker start from there and have Orton win there. I don't know. I don't know. During that whole thing during WrestleMania, they made Randy Orton look like not only a chicken shit heel, but like soft in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. That whole time now in hindsight, it's tough to say what we would have done or not would have done because I
Yeah.
think right now, I mean, I for the longest time with the Brock Lesnar part time kind of what he's doing right now it was cool and I dug it, but it's wearing off on me. I'll admit the reason why I'm not more excited about this match and really have been kind of like with Lesnar recent or with the SummerSlam match isn't because of Randy Orton. It's more because of Lesnar. And again, guys, everyone wants to say Lesnar should never lose another match. Well, that's why I might be using the bathroom during this match.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to the Rollins report. Brother Daly, break this down, man. What was your thoughts on the Rollins report?
First of all, thank you, Seth Rollins, for bringing back Jon Stewart into the conversation.
Yes.
I know my wife loves you, but my man crush for you is also, I don't know if it can be matched at this stage of the game. But no, listen, I thought that it was really good. It surprised me, dude. I could not believe that they're addressing it in the way that they are. I like that they're doing it, but I think that this absolutely, dude, is going for, like we talked about it. They're doing a Roman Reigns redemption. They are, man. They absolutely are.
Well, I think they're trying to make us believe hook, line, and sinker, and then boom.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope
like,
so.
like I told you last week, I'm not going to assume anything until I see that guy with the Samoan tattoos back on the screen. Until I see what that guy does on screen, I'm not making any declarations yet.
I loved how they spliced together. And this is, again, guys, it's one of those things where for all the people that said, like, well, the final deletion was this, that, because we're going to talk about that in a minute, too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and that's what shows how great this was. But We had this Rollins report we had that was, the Spice Together footage, which was awesome comedy. We had the Wyatt family combo. We're going to talk about that, but that was a kind of different thing. Again, I don't see why people are giving the Hardys shit when WWE does this kind of stuff all the time. The Hardys people just didn't get what the Hardys were doing, but they don't want to give them credit, I think is what it is. They don't want, because it's not WWE. They don't want to give them credit.
We'll get into that next.
Yeah, but I liked it. I liked that they did this. And listen, I've been saying this all along, that I do think Seth Rollins is one of those guys that can cross over for them. He could be a big time crossover in the talk shows. He's already quasi did it with Jon Stewart. He's did it with other, morning shows and stuff like that. But he's a guy like Cena that they didn't. I think they thought they had more star power in Roman Reigns. I think Seth Rollins is more charismatic. He's more confident, and he has a better pulse on what's going on in society. And he knows how to connect with people better. And that is important when you're looking at the face of a brand.
Yeah. And Rollins is, I feel, in a way more dependable. I'm not going to take one injury and assume that's it for his entire career as like a big time guy. So I feel like Rollins is more dependable for a long term aspect than Reigns or Ambrose or somebody like that. But speaking of Ambrose, I love the exchange both the guys had in the ring after the Rollins report was over. I thought that was pretty cool. Dean said, "Hey, I don't give a crap what your little excuses are or what you want to bitch about. I'm the man, whether people here like it or not." And he's like, "Hey, it's gonna be you, Roman, or Vince. That's good. None of you guys are gonna take this title away from me." So.
I also like the fact that in his little rant, he did say, and I know, guys, but we got to laugh. I love that he said, I'm not out there in some other sport chasing some fantasy. It was like they were shooting arrows at Punk all night long, dude. It was like wildfire for him. But listen, yeah, you got to, take them digs, man. You got to take them. It was good, though. I think it is showing, though, that this is becoming more about right now. Roman Reigns they're still bringing him in, but to me, this looks more like it is Ambrose and Rollins, and I think this is going to be Ambrose and Rollins at WrestleMania too.
And this also goes into reality era.
SummerSlam. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, I really think this really touches on the emphasis of the reality era, and I'll tell you why. Because you have a conflict of interest of three guys who were the Shield, but all three guys want to be the face of the company right now. Whether you believe it on screen or behind the scenes, all three guys want to be the guy right now. So that's what I'm really into this feud for.
And only in Vince McMahon's dark and twisted fantasy, you have three guys that you need somebody to kind of be like the real indifferent one, because now you have a guy that, it wasn't intentional, guys. I'm not saying this is a work, so stop that too. But you have a guy fail a drug test. Mm-hmm. So you can have two guys play off of the third guy so that these three guys are constantly like, that was this is like a dream sequence. I promise you, there's a part of Vince McMahon that in all this, the fury of like, I can't believe he failed a drug test. He was probably like, God damn it, I can make money off this.
God damn it.
We're gonna turn this around. I'm glad he failed. Like, because in a way, it's now they can like play off of it. And again, so you could play both, like all three sides against the middle. And in a weird, like, and I hope people got that Kanye West reference, because I've been listening to a lot of Kanye lately. But and Vince McMahon's sick and twisted fantasy, like I in a way feel like he's probably like, damn, money. Like it's just it works.
Oh man. Speaking of Kanye, another representative of Chirac, Kanye West, the Pablo. Isn't he calling himself the Pablo now?
Man. Oh God, I don't know. I love Kanye, but even Kanye's out there sometimes.
Yeah, he's if Bob Backlund's out there, Kanye West is out there.
Oh yeah,
let's get to the Wyatt compound thing, and I'm gonna say this really quick because I'm not mad or anything. Like I'm just really it's really annoying where everybody has to compare everything to things in the past, or everybody's like, oh, it's a ripoff, it's this that. No shit, everything in wrestling has been copied, stolen, stealed, IP hacked, whatever you want to call it. Everything's been done, including 100 million kitchen sinks. Like, I don't care that they copied what the Hardys did. It's whether or not you're entertained by the thing. At the end of the day, for me, what's wrong with liking both of them? And yeah. Okay. Thank you, Captain Obvious. The only similarity in this whole scenario was the fact they fought outside. But hey, aren't we the same people?
Which isn't true. There was more similarities. There was weapons. There was weapons where they were trying to kill each other. It was completely over the top. One character is supposed to be either demented in the head or broken. Hell, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt are tweeting back and forth at each other on Twitter. So yes. There's a lot of similarities. Here's the main difference. Matt Hardy's Final Deletion was satire. And what they're doing with the Wyatt compound is not satire. They were trying to make it like a horror art piece film. One's a satirical art piece film. Yeah. So there are similarities. Yes, they're different, but they are the same though too. There's more similarities than people realize.
Like, aren't we the same people that say that they should have more stuff outside of the arena though?
Yeah.
But when they do it, we're gonna bitch about it.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my little tea glass emoji. If we were able to appear it on the screen here.
Mm-hmm. And what's funny is that we've kind of been begging for something like this with the Wyatts for a long time.
Yeah.
And again, listen, timing again is everything, and both of these happen at the same time. I think this Wyatt thing was taped a couple weeks ago, like we talked about whenever, so it's not like it was like, okay, let's hurry up and film this now because of the Final Deletion. But I'm sure people in the business talk and they kind of have an idea on what's going on. And I'm sure there was, some upsmanship, but I don't think people realize that, again, the Final Deletion is satire, guys. Like, if you like Angie Tribeca, if when I said that, if you popped and went, yes, I watched that too, you know why I like the Final Deletion. It's satire, guys. So
the Final Deletion.
So yeah, they are different, but you can like both. Like I made a joke on Twitter and was like, I just put the Final Deletion is greater than and it was just supposed to be a joke because I knew people were either whatever, and it didn't take long for and Ed, Ed, this isn't about you. Somebody else joined in and was like, yeah, the only real thing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? Listen, I also like the Final Deletion better than I liked Alien versus Predator. And it doesn't mean, but they're two completely separate things. One is gigantic budget, but I just still didn't. I thought one was shit. And I know one, I laugh the entire time, every time that I watch it. And I laugh even harder every time I watch it more and more. So I'm sorry. But I'm also the same type of guy that I would prefer to watch like Sharknado or Hobo with a Shotgun over like your typical like Freddy or Jason movie. So,
brother Nero, I liked Final Deletion as much as I like Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh man, I did not like Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh man.
I'm not an Ashton Kutcher fan, though. I'll admit, I'm not an Ashton Kutcher fan. The Pirates were using that Zoltan thing for a while too. So. They were, that was the Pirates were doing that for a while.
Oh man, but like even still, like I'm happy they actually did something at the compound. The whole scene where you had the other like relatives of the Wyatts with masks on around the trees and stuff, I thought that was pretty cool. And like the compound thing was shorter than the Wyatt family. You didn't have the guys like riding around the country cutting promos on each other. There wasn't aerial assault robots. We didn't have birthday parties. Like even then,
Senor Benjamin certainly didn't prepare the battlefield for massacre.
Yes.
Did you kind of get the feeling, Josh, in your opinion, though, that it kind of seemed like it was a little tossed together? Like there was a lot of stuff where I don't want to make it seem like, oh, why didn't I couldn't follow the story that they were trying to tell, but there were certain times where I was like, what are they doing? Like it was just like all of a sudden Woods is captured, and I'm thinking, oh, they got Woods. Maybe they're gonna take Woods, and then just Bray just drops him to the ground. Like, oh, is he dead? Is he hypnotized? Is he what is he? But then all of a sudden Woods is fine. He's up. He's moving. There was so much where it seemed like they tried to over edit it and it's almost like they tried to over gonzo it, where if they would have simplified theirs a little more, it might have come off a little bit better.
I thought there was a lot of fast still shots, and that's probably a Kevin Dunn call. Like there wasn't a lot of times where you saw the brawl where like it felt fluid. Like you saw one shot of Kofi jumping off a car onto Rowan. You got I saw the thing where Strowman was thrown into the car and the glass braked on the windshield, I think it was. Yeah, and I see where you're coming from with that. I just felt like it was more grittier for the violence scenes, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they didn't try to run someone over with a car. I mean, so that's
and nobody was shooting fireworks at each other either.
Well, that's
what's wrong with you?
Well, and you know what's funny? This is the kicker: is that people were like, "Oh, well, WWE and Dericho, I can't wait to talk to you, Dericho." Well, WWE would never do anything as crazy as like shoot fireworks at each other. No, they're just gonna try and run you over with a pickup truck. That's all, or inside there. That's all. So now that's right. So listen, there is a level of campiness that was going on in what WWE was doing too. But Josh, you're right, dude. You can like both. We don't have to pick one or the other. If we're gonna play, if this is like Pokemon and I'm Team Valor, any of you mystics out there. But if we have to choose one, I like campy, but you don't have to choose. We can like them both, and I do like them both. So
I like the Facebook post you put earlier, joining Valor Club. I thought that was pretty cool.
one of my boys, another shout out to Mike Armstrong. He posted out today. He's God damn it, this dude's so good with material.
Yes, he is. Last thing on the Wyatt compound thing. They did announce that New Day and the Wyatts are going to fight at Battleground, like I mentioned before in the podcast a couple weeks ago. Good route here. You don't have to have it to be a tag team title match. This will be the final blow off with these guys, and they'll go in different directions because of the draft. So I'm fine with this. They're just adding more matches for Battleground. To your point, like I thought Battleground last year was okay. I wasn't crazy about it, but I think this year it has interesting matches. It's not blow away SummerSlam or WrestleMania level matches or whatever, but I think even though these are like ending feud type of things, I think it's a good thing because they're setting other things up for SummerSlam at the same time. That's my point.
Yeah, dude. And I agree. And that's the big thing is that people forget they have to watch what they can't give away too much because you really want to give everything away at SummerSlam. SummerSlam weekend and not at SummerSlam. Remember, this is where we always get caught up too. Is like it's always like, oh, WrestleMania, it has to happen at WrestleMania. No, SummerSlam weekend now is that entire weekend of, between NXT and SummerSlam and the Raw the night after. Anything that we fantasy booked at what could, should, this, that. Yeah. Don't forget about Raw and now live SmackDown. So Raw and SmackDown. So this is going to be like 4 days of fantasy booking potential swerves and surprises and whatever, with it being the second. So it's going to be an interesting litmus test too, I think, for next year's WrestleMania, because again, they tried different things with SummerSlam last year. It worked, and now with the draft being in place, this is going to give us a kind of a taste of what WrestleMania next year is going to be like. So
I'll never forget one of the best SummerSlam moments of all time. Jon Stewart # beating up John Cena.
I love that. I popped like a little kid last year, man. I popped. Well, it's funny because whenever this whole thing started, I told Sam, like from the get-go, I said they're gonna, whenever they close this whole thing up, I said Rollins and Stewart are gonna be working together. And I know it was like the excuse, it was but whatever. But from the first time I used to watch the Daily Show religiously when Jon Stewart was on there, and I don't watch it now with Trevor Noah, like we talked about it before. So whenever he was on the Daily Show, like I watched it that night, I caught it and was like, okay, it was in January before the Rumble. And it was one of those where even Sam and I were laughing whenever Stewart quote unquote turned on Cena.
Yeah.
But it was great though. I thought for me as a fanboy, I felt like thank you WWE. That one was for me personally. I owe you guys.
Let's talk about the final segment, though. Vince never disappoints for me. I thank you for the recommendation you gave me earlier about the Vince booking by the pull thing with Pat Patterson. I got to see this the other day. Adam, I loved it, brother. It was everything I thought it would be and more.
Can I ask you a quick question before you go into Vince?
Yes.
Whenever he got out of the limo and he said, might be Stephanie, might be Shane. I don't know who it might be. Hell, I might change my mind before I get to the ring. Tell me you weren't hearing it out of the Lapsed Fan podcast. Like it was like a segment straight from the booking by the pool. Every segment with Vince is instantly better now. Instantly.
Yes, exactly, man. Vince cracks me up, man, especially when he was imitating Stephanie. He's like, "Oh, I'm passive aggressive, but I'm super nice. Oh, look at me." I thought that was gold.
Vince was on fire Monday night, man. It was it's like he's ready to have some business decisions made, you know. I did like go ahead.
Mm-hmm. No, I was gonna say even though he does have his comedic nature to him and the whole "shut up" or "you're animals," like what I loved the most about the segment was not only how genuine he felt like he wanted competition, but he also said who could grab the keys to the table down the road. Go ahead first because I have more to say about this, but what was your thoughts on the final segment?
No, that's actually the thing I was going to bring up. He made it feel like you know that they want it to be absolute competition. He wants it and things that we talked about, ratings, you know, everything, like make it feel like it's complete. They basically just everything that we've all kind of said, and all of us on all these shows that if you're not on a show, that we want to make it feel like it's legit competition, down to ratings, down to this and that. I love that they addressed all those issues, and I think it's going to be interesting to see who they appoint as their general managers, because they're the what are they, the commissioners, and they're like this. They're the commissioners. Then they're going to have general managers, and then they're going to have a bullpen coach and a wide receivers coach, and Bob Backlund's
it's going to be Major League 2. You're going to have that crazy fan out in the crowd like, "You overpaid weenies."
yeah. Brock Lesnar guy.
I detest you.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar guy is gonna be somebody's life coach. Shout out to Brock Lesnar guy. He's he's really good dude.
Hopefully we don't see Frank the Cloud. That's all I ask. Anyways, for anybody that was confused by this final segment, Monday, I think the choice of going away from COO to commissioner is a good choice because, like you said, competition, and they're like the Roger Goodell. They're the Adam Silver of Raw and SmackDown now. And how many times have we whined and moaned about Shane and Stephanie taking weeks off and this and that? I feel the general managers are there to be the talking heads at the end of the day. Yes, Shane's pulling the strings behind the scenes and all that, but basically like announcing matches and stuff, that'll be done by the GM. So I'm fine with that. I think that's cool. And you know what? Not a lot of people mentioned on Monday was the fact that they teased and hooked people for next week's show at the same time. Not only do you have Ambrose and Rollins in the WWE title match next week, but at the same time, you also got the question of, who's Shane and Stephanie going to pick as the general managers for the show? You have more questions heading into next week's show, and that doesn't happen a lot with a lot of Raws these days.
Right, and I think that you know what, going into I mentioned something a couple months ago, or about maybe 2 months ago or something like that, that I think there should be somebody running SmackDown, and I think that was also teased a little bit as well. I don't know. What do you think, Josh? Who do you think is going to be the? I think that I might have actually pulled one out of my backside, like I occasionally tend to do. But who do you think might be running SmackDown underneath Shane McMahon?
I'm going to tie both of these in because our good friend Justin wanted us to give our thoughts on who would be the Raw and SmackDown GMs. So I'm going to tie both of them, okay? Not just SmackDown. We'll do Raw as well. Now, it's very important what Vince said on Monday. Hey, if you can't pick one, I'll decide one for you. Damn it. SmackDown, it's not going to be Daniel Bryan. I know they had the leak out about the WWE app, and for that reason alone, they're not going to make it Daniel Bryan. Because anytime anything leaks, you know WWE, they just go the different direction. So SmackDown, I'm going to say this, and many people say this will be predictable because the guy has a show on the network now, but I'm going with Mick Foley.
Okay.
You need a good guy, authority guy on SmackDown to complement Shane when he's not there. I think Mick Foley can work really well, actually.
It would tie into the podcast that they did, too.
Correct. But for Raw, now here's where things are interesting. A lot of people thought I would go with Eric Bischoff in this scenario. No. Stephanie will not pick one by the end of the show, and Vince will have Daniel Bryan be the general manager of Raw. So that's my pick. I'll go with Daniel Bryan on Raw.
Do a flip-flop. Man, this one, because for Raw, it's almost like Triple H seems like the easy out on that one. But in a way, I feel like.
But he's a COO, though. They make it out that he's the COO in the show, so you can't really make him a GM.
Yeah, it's what's gonna make it, plus he's gonna have a, whenever he does decide to feud with Seth Rollins, that's gonna make things a little bit tricky too. Mm-hmm. I do think that Daniel Bryan is gonna be on SmackDown. Only and I know that was leaked, but in a way it was very, I think it was just the way it was maybe titled, it was poorly written just because the crowd was chanting yes, so they kind of said the yes movement. They never really mentioned Daniel Bryan's name in it. We kind of looked more into it than anything else. I think maybe they, now I'm not saying, listen, I'm a very big proponent of where there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm not, listen, I'm not saying that this isn't a possibility, and I actually do think that Daniel Bryan is going to be the SmackDown general manager. On Raw, oh, dude, I think that they're going to need to go. They're going to need to go bold. They're going to need to go, because Daniel Bryan's going to attract a lot of people. This is your flagship show. So I'm going to say that you probably just need to bring Mike Adamle back and just get it over with. No. You know what? What about somebody like Booker T?
Booker.
I mean, I know that's, and I'm not saying, I don't know if that's been rumored or anything like that, but I mean, I would rather see like another veteran, I think, in the show. Mick Foley is an excellent choice, by the way. I like your idea of having Vince like basically like tell Stephanie, like, because then Stephanie could always play off of that a little bit of, I didn't get to choose my own general manager. Like, there's always an asterisk by it, so to speak. But I don't know. Right now, I'm trying to think. I'd almost think that she'd want to bring back a strong female figure though too, because in a way there is this women's movement in wrestling right now and in the world right now, and again, the WWE wants their pulse on everything that's going on in the world. So I wouldn't mind seeing a woman running one of the shows. In fact, I actually want to see a woman running one of the shows. And hell, maybe you can bring back Nikki Bella. Maybe that's her role. Maybe you can bring back Eve Torres. Maybe you can bring back, I mean, you could. There's a lot of people I think you could maybe bring in as a female general manager too.
That's not a bad idea.
Lita,
maybe. It's not a bad idea. The only reason I picked Daniel Bryan with Raw for a conflict of interest with Stephanie and their history with each other. I think that'd be interesting for that dynamic, and Stephanie wouldn't be on the show every week too.
And you think Stephanie typically works better under when there's conflict versus when she's
more stress and anger, the better.
Right. Okay.
At least from a character standpoint, I don't want her to go to anger management.
Yeah, right. I just feel like on Raw that we want to have a heel general manager or a bad guy, somebody that is gonna agree, almost be a yes person for
David Otunga.
Oh, please let it be David Otunga. Please let it be. But he was doing SmackDown. He's going to be doing commentary and stuff. But I would love for it to be David Otunga. even though I drafted him to my Adam Daley SmackDown brand when we did our draft, I would love to see David Otunga on there. I don't know why I'm such a David Otunga mark. I really don't.
I think that might happen because he wasn't on last week's show. Jerry Lawler is back on commentary now, so that might happen. You never know.
Yeah, but with the draft, I mean, who knows? Who knows what will happen with Jerry? That's a very strange situation. Touchy subject.
Would you switch the announcers?
I would mix it up. I would absolutely mix it up. Yeah.
All right. Not bad. We'll probably talk about that next week. You know what's going to be really cool about this show? I think we're going to pick up even more steam than we have now. Is the fact that we could react to both shows the day after both of them air now. You know what I mean? It's not a wait and see game.
Right. Yeah, it's huge. That's going to mess my DVR game up, man. No, I'm joking. So like 2 shows that I keep up with, I think I'll be all right.
Yeah. Either way, I can't wait, man. 6 days away, man.
Yeah, and it's, you know what, it is good. Like I said, we keep saying it's good on their parks. It makes it feel like a weekend thing now. It really does. Unless you're going to a live event, it's making it feel like, I know it's a lot for everybody to take in a couple days, but really, you know, if it's football season, you're watching a game on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday anyway. So it's kind of the same thing. It's just the days are shifted a little bit. That's all. I'm okay with what's going on with WWE right now.
I'm gonna say this though, even though I could give a flying fig Newton about Thursday Night Football. TNA is gonna get slaughtered on Thursdays. They're gonna get destroyed. But to add to that point though, TNA will probably have a better content than Thursday Night Football. So if you saw last year,
you know what? Thursday's a tough night because there's a lot of good TV on though too. You know, nothing that I watch, but I know that, and I hate to. She's gonna kill me. Sam watches a lot of TV, and I'm pretty sure Thursdays in the fall, or she has a nice myriad of shows that she keeps up with.
Lots of good TV, or not. I'm gonna go over the background card really quick. I'm not gonna go like thoughts with that. I'm just gonna go with the matches we have so far. We have obviously we got the Shield 3-way Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns. We got Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Like the stuff they added on with that on Raw this past Monday night. Kevin's like, I'm not going to the ring unless he's out. Commentary. I thought that was pretty cool. And then you have Becky versus Natty. I think that's cool. I'm glad they're actually going with this match. I think that's a good choice. You have John Cena, Enzo, and Cass against the Club. That'll be fun. I think that'll be pretty good. Even see AJ Styles mix it up with guys like Cass and Enzo who are unorthodox. I think that's pretty freaking cool. So you can get that different style of wrestling as well. What else here we got? We got, of course, Miz against Darren Young. For the IC title, Rusev versus Zack Ryder for the US title, and then you got the New Day for the against the Wyatts. So we got 7 matches so far. We'll probably tie in some other stuff. Don't forget you got Randy Orton and Chris Jericho in the highlight reel on there as well. So Battleground's pretty much set in stone from what I saw Monday night. So I don't know if they'll add any matches tomorrow on SmackDown, but hey, we're all guns a-blazing towards next week, man. We got 2 interesting shows to look forward to.
And how freaking cool are those flags that they're all using for battle?
Like, yes, I love those promos they have.
Are they selling those on WWE Shop?
The posters or the flags?
The actual flags themselves.
I hope so, man. That'd be great revenue source.
They really, really should, because I used to. Listen, they really should look into that.
Seth Rollins flag, though, I would get that. Or a KO one, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Listen, for how like fanatical wrestling fans are, you like, look, this Pokemon craze that's going on out there right now. Think about driving down the street and all of a sudden you see a house with a Cena flag on the outside, or a Rollins flag, or like, you know, like people would buy them. There's a market for it. Like and you know what? Maybe that's why it's in a commercial, to see if people like us would talk about it. So I already know that there's like 2 or 3 that I would buy because the designs look so dope.
And I like the theme song they have for Battleground this year.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty good, actually. before a couple more things before we head out here. Last night we had the public deletion in the middle of Destination X. Brother Nero, you saw some snippets of it, but from what you did saw, what was your thoughts on it?
Okay, I didn't see Matt in ring at all. Okay, so I have to go back. I have to watch that video today. And again, guys, it's because I don't get Pop TV, so I have to go back and kind of catch it what I can. Now I did see them eating dinner, and I know that Matt's stomach was feeling broken, and he needed green beans. And where was his green beans, which was so great to me. I like that King Maxwell was just. I love everything about that whole thing. So I saw the family dinner where he just went off delete.
Yes.
And Scott was there just scraping up delete the whole time. I saw him in his dilapidated boat dumping Jeff's remains into that pond. Yeah, all of Jeff's material remains. But I saw something too that it was just it looked like it was Jeff waking up out of a dream or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I saw that, and that is kind of like the crux of what I saw.
Yeah, so basically Matt took the creature or the enigma out of Jeff Hardy's body. Like, Jeff's not dead. I thought it was going to be a thing where he was going to be out of TV for a while, but I guess Matt took away Jeff's soul in a way.
This is so great. I love it. I love every minute of this. Keep going.
He called the dilapidated boat Skarsgård.
Yes, he did. Yes, I caught that. Yeah.
So there goes that. I was telling Adam about this before we came on air. They had a movie theater scene where they had a bunch of friends go to his in-home movie theater. He's like, the last thing we'll do for King Maxwell's birthday party is watch the Final Deletion. And they're all watching it while the middle of the movie's going on, and Matt's like, I deleted your ass. I deleted your ass. And he's like, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this masterpiece, and we all will embrace in the chanting of the deletion of Brother Nero. And everybody's like, delete.
Was the crowd chanting? Was the crowd into it?
No, it was I was talking about the scene where everybody's in the movie theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now when Matt was in ring though, and he was going off on another delete rant, wasn't he? To him and Rebby, I think they kept going. Okay. Now was the crowd chanting along, or were they like, what was the crowd response like?
They were booing him. They were booed. Yeah.
Keeping kayfabe alive, huh?
Yeah, and only in the Impact Zone.
I was going to say, understand in a WWE ring, the crowd's chanting, delete.
Yes,
delete,
they are.
Delete. That would be the new yes chant. Delete would be the new yes chant.
I would love to see, with Raw being in Pittsburgh, the Raw after Battleground, if fans would be chanting, delete.
Nah, I wish. It would be great. It would, and you know what? I am real quick. I'm bummed that Pittsburgh is going to be in Raw on July 25th, 25th, I believe. 25th, yeah.
Yep.
And that is the night after Battleground. It was going to be awesome because I think Sam and I planned on going, and then we realized that that's the only night The Killing Joke is going to be in theaters. And I'm sorry, I've been to about 10,000 Raws in my life.
Yes.
And
Killing Joke does take preference. I understand.
This is a once in a lifetime, one day thing, and so yeah, we decided. So we're going to see The Killing Joke that night instead. So we're not going to be there in attendance, but we will be maybe in cosplay at a theater near you.
I do feel that Kurt Angle is popping up on that show. By the way,
you really think so?
Yes.
Okay, let me ask this question then. Just out of curiosity. Now I know Kurt said he doesn't want to wrestle for a while, right?
He doesn't want to do it full time. Like he wants like a Brock Lesnar type of thing.
You think he'd be okay with doing one show a week, as in like maybe if he just had to be a general manager?
As a general manager, he doesn't have to do house shows.
Nope, that's what I mean. One show a week. Do you think? You know, and guys, we're fantasy booking here, so please, guys, and and this is what the funniest thing, and everyone out there, again, I have to keep reiterating.
Put the pitchforks down. It's okay.
No, yeah, I gotta reiterate this. I do not read dirt sheets. Yes, I know that I appear on a lot of their video shows, but that's where I find out sometimes a lot of the stupid rumors and this and that and who's saying what about people. I don't read. I do not read any of the sites, and that's no disrespect. My friends that work hard on them, they do great work, but that's where so we're fantasy booking here, guys. So don't think that like a report came out that Angle this and that. But Josh, to your point, if Angle was to get put like wouldn't it be interesting if Kurt Angle was your general manager of Raw? Kurt Angle was your general manager of Raw, and that first Raw is in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but
yes, I see that happening.
And then they could write a storyline out that, transition him towards one last match at WrestleMania. And then after WrestleMania, there's a new, general manager for Raw or something like that. Like him and Stephanie are constantly butting heads or whatever. But I don't know, to your point about Angle, if he's going to be on TV, like you predicted, I say that he would be a general manager. So I think we're both going to be wrong.
Either that or he goes after Rusev. That's my guess.
You know what? It seemed like the past couple interviews he wants to take some time off and just relax.
Yeah. Brother Nero, I want to show you something really quick. I'm gonna do something we haven't done here before. Screen share. Just bear with me. I want to show you a photo really quick. All right, hold on. Let me load this up. All right, here we go. Screen share. Here we go. One last thing before we head out here, folks. Rat bastards. I want to give a shout out to our buddy. Wow, this thing's slowing up here. I want to give a shout out to our bud Ryan Taylor for reaching out and asking us to do a top 5 list of matches so far this year. We'll get into that after this, but I think this could be pretty interesting. All right, here we go. Screen share takes forever to load up here. I don't know why.
Oh, went away.
Look at this.
Those things are all over the place. Yeah.
You see that picture?
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, we can all see that. That's really great. Poco, that's all over the place now. Jobs and this and that are all posting like, Pokemon things here and there. So, you know what? It's a strange thing because where I live, you typically don't see too many people walking around unless some bad stuff's about to happen. And the past couple nights, like we've been walking around, we were walking around all night last night, and it was like people are out like crazy. It's like peace on earth through Pokemon. It's just, and I know other incidents have happened in like last night. There was an incident I think in Michigan or something or whatever. So please, guys, I'm not trying to, but in a way, it's strange. Like you see all these people and everyone's like, and yeah, it sucks. I know people put jobs and stuff like that. I'm not saying jobs suck, but I'm saying that like jobs have to post these things and stuff. But have you seen this? I've never seen this many people getting this much exercise and socializing in one, like generally, like especially where I live. Like I said, it's a ghost town unless you or you're up to no good. We'll say that.
Yeah.
And it's people everywhere.
I was gonna say this. It's kind of like people. It's like if you're like in the set of Walking Dead, and at night you're walking around looking for dead zombies and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I'm glad people are doing that, but I just found it funny that somebody would take a picture of that at my broadcasting school.
All right.
Anyways, last thing here. Really quick, we're gonna go over some the matches here for us. We'll stick to WWE for now because if you had me go over the Lucha Underground matches I've seen this year, we'll be here all day. But any particular ones that stand out to you the most so far this year?
Yeah, the Fatal 4-Way from Intercontinental match from Extreme Rules, hands down. For me, Nakamura and Zayn. Take your pick of Styles and Reigns. I know people don't want to hear it, but those were two of the best matches that we've seen all year. I really dug Bailey and Asuka was this year, correct? I know that's a
Yes.
stupid question to say. Yeah, that was this year. Yeah. So Bailey, Asuka, I really dug that match. That was NXT Dallas, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Dug that. Oh, what am I forgetting? Go ahead, Josh, and I'll pick one more out while I'm sitting here thinking.
Start off with Ambrose, Reigns, and Lesnar from Fastlane earlier this year. I really liked that match. You also go to Becky, Charlotte, and Sasha from WrestleMania. Let's see what else. I really enjoyed Owens and Zayn from Payback in Chicago. I got to see that one. Styles and Reigns obviously would work there as well. What else? Let's see. I thought Ambrose and Owens from the Rumble was really good this year. Actually, the what was it, the Last Man Standing match?
What was the gimmick attached to that?
I think it was Last Man Standing. I know it was for the IC title though.
Right. Okay.
That's what I do remember from it. Let's see what else. American Alpha versus Revival. I forgot which NXT takeover it was. I think it's Dallas, but American Alpha and the Revival was the one that stood out the most to me from the NXT side. I thought
Rollins and Reigns is up there. That people forget.
Yep.
Listen, that the spear into the pedigree, guys, honestly, to me, is almost like the way you would end a WrestleMania. You know, and
Yes.
they already pulled that out. So if this was the late 90s, that move, that spot ends a pay-per-view. It ends a WrestleMania. That doesn't, you don't see another pedigree after that. You don't see that is a WrestleMania or SummerSlam finish right there, because that was awesome. But
there was a badass match from SmackDown I saw a couple of months ago. It was Jericho and Miz against it was Jericho, Miz, and Owens against Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and somebody else. It was a 6-man. It was man. We talk about SmackDown on the show. There's so many underrated matches on that show that doesn't get the credit it deserves, man. Like Miz and Cesaro had some really good matches. I wouldn't say match of the year, but it's the ones that stand out to me. One of the underrated matches, if you guys haven't seen it, go on YouTube. It's Randy Orton versus Cesaro versus Kevin Owens and Rusev. It was a 4-way match last year. If you guys go check that out, I think you guys will like it a lot.
And I was going to say, I think Miz is finally starting to get a little bit more recognition and the recognition he deserves. But Miz has been in a lot of really good matches this year.
Yes, he has.
Really, really, really good matches.
Oh, yeah. Hey, the guy's really stepped this game up, and who knows, whenever his title reign comes in, I wouldn't be mad if he went after another world title. The work he's put in the last couple of years, he deserves an opportunity like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, this is a guy that people forget that they were making this man change in broom closets and shit. Like,
yes,
this is a dude that legit, like, people always say that, like, you have to eat humble pie. This dude was eating more than humble pie. Like, they were force feeding humble pie down this guy's throat. So, I've always had a hell of a lot of respect for Miz, because he was always told he was the guy that wasn't supposed to be there. And, realistically, I think he's one of the guys that, we always talk about WrestleMania 27 saying that should have been Punk's year. And but in a way, Miz also, I don't want to say as much as Punk, but in a way, Miz absolutely helped break this into the reality era a lot smoother than what it would have been if the Miz wasn't on reality TV before that. And I think that's why he got pegged at WrestleMania 27 over CM Punk. Yes, Punk was the best heel that year, but think about that. It was about that crossover appeal because Miz was on MTV before. Not saying it's right, but that was really when they wanted to litmus test the reality era, I think.
Correct. And I'm just curious to see where things are gonna go here. Next week will be our thoughts on the draft, and we'll do a preview for Battleground. This is the last show we had to preview the draft, so I hope you guys just sit back and try to enjoy the show. Yeah, there'll be draft picks that'll annoy you, that you wish some guys were on this show and that show or whatever. But just like with the Women's Revolution and NXT, or just anything in wrestling in general when it comes to eras, things don't happen overnight. So I am interested to see new changes they have with SmackDown. It's gonna be fun. I just hope people could just sit back and try and enjoy it, and try to, instead of overlooking it.
All right, so let's do this right now, Josh. Before the draft even happens, even though we'll talk about it next Wednesday after the draft. Pre-draft, are you Team Raw or Team SmackDown?
I am on Team SmackDown.
I am too.
Yes.
I am too. So I'm hoping SmackDown has the better draft. I think this is something as wrestling fans now that people, again, let's have fun with this, guys. Let's have so much fun with this. If this Pokemon game taught me anything, it taught me how the simplicity of life and just walking around and having fun. Let's be Team Raw, Team SmackDown. Let's make this feel like there actually is competitions. Let's have fun with this, guys.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? At your same point, to add on to that, I for professional reasons, I'm picking SmackDown since that's the main roster show I cover. So you know what? Hey, go to WrestleZone.com. You get the best wrestling show of the year coverage. It's SmackDown.
I am picking SmackDown because it'll show that a 2-hour show is better than a 3-hour show.
Yeah. Well, it'll show USA Network that a 2-hour show is better than a 3-hour show.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Brother Nero, let's get some plugs out of the way. Where can people find you on the social?
Follow me at Adam Daley 13. I am all, and all is all. So you can follow my beautiful wife at Lady Nexus 13. My wife Sam. Follow our show at Wrestling With. Find me on the Pipe Bomb with McCool and Company. We're going to be doing a draft show this week. We're actually taping Wrestling With tonight. Ace Sherini is going to be on the show with us. So check that out tonight. We actually had to flip-flop the schedules because I was doing a draft thing tomorrow with the Pipe Bomb. So as I always say, I'm the and company part. I'm kind of all over the place. I know you guys are probably sick of me on video shows. So Josh, thank you again for keeping me on here. And I'm glad we got to do this again this week.
Absolutely. Follow yours truly at Twitter at WC Josh Lopez. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes and Stitcher. Just type in Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. You'll find it there. This one thing I don't ask a lot from you guys. All we ever ask is to leave a review or a rating. Tell a friend about the show. If you like what we bring to the table here, it's deeply appreciated, and it helps us go up to the next level. And we're having a blast. So hopefully by next we'll be over 10,000 listeners. So that, again, for me, Adam, thank you guys. We love doing this. We get to shoot the shit. That's basically all. We get to have fun, talk about what we love the most, and this is gonna be fun. Tomorrow, my bad. Next week we'll go over our picks for Battleground. Let's try to see if we can have somebody on with us and talk about the draft as well. So for Brother Nero, for Mr. Daley, I am Senor Lopez. Hope you guys enjoyed episode 12 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, and we'll talk to y'all next week. Peace. Enjoy the draft.